wonderful day we have in San Francisco. Some places start to cool off. I know it because I had a wonderful session with a client of mine from back east. But San Francisco, to my surprise, this is mid-October, is warm. In fact, almost hot. I would say almost. But it is such a wonderful weather that I allowed myself to bathe in the ocean today. And against all reputations, the ocean was so nice. The sun is fantastic today. And I want to talk to you about several topics. First of all, yesterday I had a wonderful session with the discussion of the importance of blood circulation. The person who asked me the questions was Sonia Carusini, who I told you yesterday in the message that she was able to get an infant who had no iris. Can you imagine? No iris means no pupillary muscles, no color to the eye. And her mother came to her crying, saying, I will never be able to get my daughter to see. And she was referred to Sonia to a private clinic to train the mom how to live with the daughter's blindness. Sonia, who studied with me and became one of the best practitioners I ever had, told the mother, but there is a possibility, and the mother believed her. And so they intensively worked with light therapy. They had many blinking lights in the dark, did the sunning exercise that we always do, and believe it or not, but at the age of 8 months, the same infant had a normal iris, and until this day, the vision is completely normal. Infants can do all kinds of interesting things. Like I had a grandson of one of my most dedicated students, who I really, really like a lot. She now lives in Israel, but she was then in Brazil, who was born with toxoplasmosis, which is a disease of the placenta. And he was born without a macula. Can you imagine that? A macula is what you read with, is what you drive with, is what you see clearly with. And he didn't have macula in his right eye, and the doctor said, well, that's okay, he will have macula in his left eye. I said, forget that kind of prognosis. I told him to play with him with light while patching his left eye, to play with light and noise in a dark room. And about 20 days later, I remember I had a trip to England, came back and heard from the same lady, wonderful lady by the name of Martha, said, oh, they're saying there is a scar, but it's the macula is there. So we made a wrong diagnosis. And then about a month later, after I gave them more exercises to work with him with a cart outdoors, and from time to time patch the left eye, well, the doctors then said there's a mistake in the diagnosis. He has a full macula in both eyes. Well, that's what infants can do. Two conclusions I have from that one. One is, infants can grow things that we adults cannot do, which is amazing. And I wish there was more exploration of how we can change the fate of infant. I will never forget that parents of an 11 days old infant came to me because he could not blink with one of his eyes. When we massaged the forehead and massaged the area under the eye and then touched the eyelid, guess what? After the first session, he could blink normally. So all kinds of things like this are just unbelievable when it comes into infants. I'll never forget the one who came to me with cataract in one eye and did not move her eye to the right. It only looked at her nose and straight. In the second session, with patching the eye that did not have cataract, and with giving her all kinds of stimuli like noise and talk and special sunning exercise and special light indoors, she moved the eye normally to the right. So Those things happen in infants. In adults, we cannot grow anything. We cannot grow fingers. I heard that sometimes in infants it happens. We cannot create iris if you don't have an iris. What we can do is greatly improve the function that you have. Well, I'm a pretty good example of that. My vision is not anywhere near normal, but it gets close to 70% of normal. Used to be 1%, and I have a scar tissue. If you see, and anyone who looks with an ophthalmoscope will say, how could you read? And with the bits and pieces of lenses, less than 1%, I was able to train my brain from the age of 17 to start and see. So the point is, our potential is huge. But the discussion yesterday was on blood flow. Blood flow is so important. It's the silent healer and the silent killer. If it doesn't flow well enough, then so many problems can happen to you. And you know some of them, and I can tell you others of them, but I want to talk positive right now. It's a silent healer. And you can have signs and symptoms to know whether your blood flows well or not. For example, if you're refreshed, it means your blood flows well. If you're fatigued, it means it doesn't. If you feel stiffer today than yesterday, then it doesn't flow well. If you feel looser, it does. If your hands and feet are warm, with some exceptions, and I've had them in my practice, but in most cases, if your hands and feet and nose are warm, it means the blood flows well everywhere in your body. What makes blood flow well? Loose shoulders, loose neck, loose hip joints. Sometimes when we feel fatigue, it means the blood doesn't flow well. And sometimes the best thing to do is to lie down for 10 minutes and take a cat nap or relax. Sometimes we need to move and walk and run. And sometimes we need to breathe and contemplate. Each time, the blood flow demands something different. And the difference is having a deep kinesthetic awareness of what needs to be done. So that's what I teach in my training. That's what I teach in my workshops, which we'll announce in here. But in the meantime, please look at the YouTube that I did yesterday, even though some of it is in Portuguese. It was a rough start. The computer did not have the right app. We started with the phone. But apparently nobody cared because they cared about the content. So take a look at the YouTube. People really are grateful to the knowledge that they got. And you'll hear more than you heard today. But I'm sure that it is something you can take into heart. And get my book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. It will explain to you much more about blood circulation. I also had two interesting interviews. One was with Lauren Gailey, with whom I'm going to have a workshop when I come back for my trip to Germany, Italy, and Israel. And she is a very interesting interviewer, and she has a huge followers. And it is time for me to teach a workshop with her group, but all of you can join that workshop. So please tune in when we're going to bring up excerpts of that interview next week, as she will publish it on the 21st. The other one was Rohan Goyal, who is a top ophthalmologist, a wonderful ophthalmologist, very frustrated that many people in his profession don't accept the fact that he does acupuncture, homeopathy, current therapy for people, with electricity, as well as eye exercises. And he saw me for years as an icon to this kind of work. I mean, I know of one ophthalmologist, I shared it with him, in Argentina, who was able to get the head of the Department of Ophthalmology to do palming. Sooner or later, like the 100 monkeys, we will spread this work. It will spread in the world because of the amazing results we have, because of the good concept we have, and because of the good work we're doing. At this point, unfortunately, we don't have any governmental help. We don't have any insurance coverage. All those things that can help us to help people. But we are pioneers, and that is one of the things that pioneers do. They have to stand in front of walls that stop them from moving forwards and still move forwards. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what you're all doing with me. And I'd like to thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I'm looking forward to make the last one before I travel tomorrow, next week, or maybe I'll make a couple next week. Let's see how time will present itself. And if you have any questions about circulation, that could be a beginning of a discussion that we could have through this forum or online. Anyway, I'm looking forward to see you all in the virtual workshop that I'm going to do with Lauren Gailey, and in the workshop in person. Don't get confused there. In person, that we do on relaxing between shopping and holidays on December 10th. A whole day of relaxing with me and learning how to see better, move better, and feel better. Much love to all of you. Meir.